Hi everyone. Thank you for coming here today. My name is Divya Patalia, and I'm excited to host this ULEV Computer Science panel brought to you by the Career Bridge. This panel is designed to help you navigate internships, job searching, and everything in between. Just before we start, just a quick reminder, please make sure to use your first and last name on Zoom just so we can mark your attendance on my experience. Awesome. Okay, so before we go into the nitty-gritty for this panel, just want to introduce myself formally. I am a fifth-year computer science and business management student at the University of Lethbridge. I'm also a co-op ambassador for the Career Bridge office, so you may have seen me around on campus last semester. And I also have two internships under my belt. I worked at Arcurve as a full stack .NET developer for 8 months, and currently, right now, I'm working at Canadian Natural Resources as a systems developer intern. And through these experiences, I've been able to develop a deep passion for the intersection of software development and business. And I think getting to this point was quite tricky, and it's uh, I guess given the current uh, job market trends and whatnot, it's not, I guess, easy to, I guess, get that first internship. So the goal for this panel is to help you make the job search process easier and more manageable. So uh, a bit of context. So when I first started my program back in 2020, I didn't realize how important internships were. Back then, the pandemic was, I guess, causing us to do complete like remote classes. So I didn't have that much, I guess, contact between my peers and my cohort, and also like third and fourth year students. So by the time there were in-person classes, I then realized that, oh, okay, I should probably look into these internships. I didn't realize they were pretty important. So that realization there led me down a deep rabbit hole of like what it takes to get your first internship. So some of my key lessons that I'm going to bring up is that for me, what helped me out a lot was working on personal projects just to showcase my skills. Um, the industry is quite different than how it was pre-pandemic, so a lot has changed. Project work is basically an expectation now for employers, and I had to do a lot of online learning to fill the gap in knowledge when it came to my courses and uh, employer expectations. So I utilized Udemy, did a lot of leak code, that type of interview prep, and utilized LinkedIn a lot for networking. And obviously, blindly applying won't get you that far in this industry now. You have to tailor your resumes and whatnot. So hopefully you'll learn a lot about job search strategies along the way with this panel. And ultimately, that's why we're here. Why does this panel matter? Internships are an expectation now with employers. It's quite reasonable for employers to expect you to have internships when going into entry-level jobs. That wasn't a thing before pandemic. Now that Gateway is, it's becoming a lot harder now for students without internships to get into this industry. So we're gonna try to hammer that point in. Internships, they're very important. And hopefully by the end of the session, you'll have a clear action plan to how to land your first internship. And we're gonna try to break down the job search process so it's less confusing, and you'll get a chance to talk to students that have gone through this process, so you'll be able to discuss what actually works and whatnot. And these are the key presentations that we're going to be going through. So after this, we're going to get a presentation by the Career Bridge, and then we're going to get an employer presentation by Ag Canada, and then a job search presentation by career coaches at our university. And lastly, we're going to conclude this event with a student panel where you can ask questions, and I'll have curated questions also to guide the panel. Awesome. So with that, we're ready to move on to our first presentation by Stacy.
Thanks, Stevie. I really appreciate all the effort that you put towards making this evening happen. I think this is phenomenal. I think the fact that we've got a student-led event that's happening around the idea of participating in work integrated learning is so, so exciting. And so again, Divya, I just really want to extend my thank you on behalf of the department for representing the institution and our department so well. So I don't have a formal presentation. I just wanted to essentially introduce myself and talk a little bit about Career Bridge. I'm not going to take up much time, but I did want to get a sense from the folks on the call, maybe if you could just raise your hand about whether or not you've heard of Career Bridge. How many of you have heard of Career Bridge? So to raise your hand, I think you just have to go into the reactions and you should be able to choose your hand raised there. Good. So you've got quite a few of you've heard of Career Bridge. So I would say that our mandate, our that we sort of talk about within Career Bridge is that we are the place where students can build bridges between purpose, practice, and possibility. We really exist to help you as students make connections between what you're learning in the classroom, all of those wonderful technical skills, and the application of that in the real world. And what's really cool about our department is that we are kind of at a center of community of practice within the institution and also external to the institution. So we're really here to support students as our primary stakeholders, but we also support industry and helping industry connect to youthful talent in our programs. And we work with faculty and staff on campus as well to help support that goal. And sometimes we even work with government. And so really, I think it's important for those of you who haven't interacted with CareerBridge before to understand that this is the front door to the institution in terms of finding resources and supports and relationships to help you build your experience, to apply that theory to practice, to bridge yourself from the classroom into the world. And we are able to do that because we support a couple of work integrated learning programs out of our department. So some of you are enrolled in or have heard of co-op, I'm sure. So co-op is internationally recognized as the preferred way to earn a degree because it allows you to get that paid full-time work experience related to your field of study. And that's really a difference between internships. So sometimes people will use the word internship and co-op interchangeably, but sometimes internship is, especially in the American form of the word. It's an unpaid experience, but co-op is always paid. And so they're, like I said, internationally recognized as the preferred way to earn a degree. And especially for computer science students and students in STEM fields, there is a ton of opportunity for you. Employers want to engage with you. And so we really want to be the ones to help you be successful in landing those work experiences and leveraging up your experience as well. So co-op can really be a great pathway to getting entry level experience, but also building up from there to get some really, really exciting opportunities as you become a senior student. And then hopefully graduating out of the institution with a job offer. That is really what we hope for in terms of helping our students get that work experience. So great way to build skills. I'll let the students talk about that during the panel about their experiences. So think about co-op. If you haven't applied to co-op already, make sure you visit myexperience.ulat.ca and sign up to join co-op. It's really important for our computer science students to do that. And I think we have only a couple of co-op admission courses left for the year. So there are two of them happening in the month of March, and then we won't be having any more co-op admission courses until September. So if you haven't yet joined the program, please set aside a few hours to join us and to learn more about how co-op can help support your career development. Michaela, if you yeah, one is tomorrow from 1 to 4. So make sure you go on and apply for co-op. And then our last one is March 11th. Thank you very much for adding that into the chat. The other will program that we offer out of our department is called Applied Studies. And that one allows students to actually create a course that is specifically designed for them. So if you're working part-time, paid or unpaid in a not-for-profit organization, you can actually get course credit for that. So again, come speak to a work integrated learning instructor, book an appointment via My Experience, and start to learn about how these programs and how you can leverage them to support your career growth. We also have a fantastic, absolutely phenomenal career coaching team. So if you're looking to brush up your skills on how to write a resume, if you're looking to figure out how do I use LinkedIn to build my professional profile or to practice your interview skills, our career team is absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to extend the fact that there is so much knowledge and support in this department in terms of helping you build yourself up as a professional. That you, if you haven't accessed our supports and services yet, please do. And then the fourth part of our department is the My Experience portal and transcript. So students, I'm not sure if you realize, but you will graduate out of this institution with both an academic transcript as well as an experiential record. And so you can log on to My Experience and you can actually curate both curricular and extracurricular work integrated learning and experiential learning opportunities that you find through the system. So again, book an appointment with us, with a career coach or with a will instructor, and we can walk you through the supports and services available to you and to build up your experiential record. So that is the Career Bridge Center in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions? I should add that all of our resources, supports, they're free for students. So make sure you're leveraging our supports and services to help you as much as possible. Any other questions before I turn it back to Divya? You can certainly look for internships outside of the My Experience job board. Just remember too that if you find an internship or a paid full-time work experience related to your field of study that is a term period, so it has a start and end date that fits in within an academic semester. You can come to us and self-initiate a co-op. So again, please come and chat with us. If you're not seeing things if you're admitted to co-op and you're not sure what you're seeing on the job board is a good fit for you, come and talk with us. We can talk about different kinds of organizations. We have great relationships with these folks. So ask us lots of questions. That's what we're here for. Any other questions? I'm just checking out the chat here quickly. Folks, I guess that's it. I will turn it back to Divya to get us rolling. Thank you for your time today. And please, like I said, come and check us out. I'll put the links to our websites in the chat and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacy. There is just one question on by Kenny. He's just asking about he can't register due to a prerequisite. Is that something you can elaborate on?
Actually, I can Divya for you. Kenny, I'll email you separately. I'll just have to look at your account and then I can get back to you. Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for the presentation. We're going to move on to the next presentation now by Rodrigo. This is for Ag Canada.
Thanks, Divya, and Yeah, thanks for having me here today. Just a sec while I'm sharing my screen. And thanks, Stacy, for that great introduction. Um, I think you said a lot of things that resonated with me, and I'm hoping to also share with the students today. So hope you can see my screen now. I typically work with teams, so assume I use sparingly, but I hope this is working for you. So, yeah, thanks for having me here. And today I want to talk about what we look for in co-op students and tell you a bit of what we do in Agriculture Canada and some of our success stories. So I am located in Lethbridge, Alberta. So I'm here in town, and I'm also a University of Lethbridge alum. So I graduated from biological sciences, well, with a bachelor's and a master's degree. And I what Stacy was saying about having the practical experience definitely resonated with my own career. And I did applied studies, I did internships and independent studies, and they were all extremely helpful for my career. I'll tell you a little about the team that I lead here in AFC. So we are a support unit, a research support unit, which is basically a team that helps the research labs in the research center. So the research center has about 50 different groups. So like in the university, there's professors that have their own research groups. Uh, in in the government, we don't call them professors. They are research scientists, but they're similar in many ways. So we support them. We support them and their students and their staff to succeed and to help them implement all sorts of fun things with bioinformatics, statistics, image analysis, app development, and cloud computing. So we have a bit of an Avengers type of team, I like to think, where we bring together all sorts of different expertise. My own background is in bioinformatics, and I came from the biology studies, but I found that in graduate school, I had to learn more about programming and statistics to be able to handle the data that I needed to work with, data such as genomic sequences and DNA sequences from public resources that we needed to use to design our tests to detect animal diseases. So this is a really exciting field where you get to if you like interesting challenges, if you like fun activities and working to improve science and agriculture, I think this would be a really nice thing to get into. So in a nutshell, what we do is we collaborate with a lot of people. We give them guidance. We help, with coding, with troubleshooting, with actually performing the analysis sometimes. But we also do a lot of training. We also want people to succeed on their own and not having to rely on us for for everything. We also want them to become independent. We teach them how to fish, and we develop a lot of resources, documentation on how to run some programs or how to use supercomputers or high performance computing. And we also although a little bit less, but we do have a server that we help people to access and guide them on how to use it. So during the pandemic, we were mainly a distributed team. We still are. It's just maybe to a lesser degree as we move more towards having people here in Lethbridge or in cities where there is an office of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. But I would say that this is a map that represents where we were located in a span of 4 years when we hired a lot of students throughout the country. So we had presence in 7 different cities in Canada. So we had co-op students from all over, and that was really fun. So the students who joined us during that time had the opportunity to interact with people from many different universities, and of course we had some excellent students from University of Lethbridge who are truly two of our biggest success stories. So I'll talk a bit about that shortly. Um, and this is what I wanted to communicate today, that the success of our co-op students is our success. Um, we typically want to hire for 8 months at least. Sometimes because of different constraints or timing, we might do a short term, maybe 4, but that's more of the exception than the rule. And now I think with some projects we're looking more into 12-month terms. Now, you may be wondering, what do we look for? So I think in the introduction there was that mention like, okay, what about the first internship? How do we get that first step? So let me tell you, over a period of 5, 6 years that we've been hiring, I can summarize what we look for usually. Passion for learning. So even if, let's imagine, you don't have practical experience before, or maybe an internship. Maybe this is your first internship. If we can see through your transcript or through your activities, through your projects, that you have that passion for learning, that you're interested, you're keen. I think that that we value that a lot in our team, and we look for students who have that passion, because bioinformatics is a team. Sorry, it's a field that changes quite a bit. Very rapidly. So someone who has that constant passion for learning is going to be a very good fit for a team. An open mind as well, to try different approaches, especially if it comes to troubleshooting or to write some documentation. I think we need to keep an open mind and be flexible and adapt to sometimes changes in circumstances. So that's something that we like to see, and that's something that we may pick up during interviews, or sometimes contacting your references, because we do contact references. So that's another thing maybe I should have added here, which is, if you have good relationships with professors, with mentors, with people you start building your network of people who mentor you, or who you go for advice, or maybe your instructors, or someone in your proximity. That's also important for us to see that we can contact a reference, and then they'll have good things to say. Enjoying challenges. So maybe you do your own projects. Maybe you're curious about trying some things with machine learning on your own. Awesome, great. Tell us about it. Uh, Maybe you already have some practical experience, perhaps not formally through an internship. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you volunteer for something where you had to you were curious of applying some coding skills to a specific problem, right? And maybe this was in a nonprofit you help, or somewhere. So that's also nice to see. It shows potential, right? And then if you enjoy troubleshooting, if you enjoy tinkering around and sort of trying to understand how things work, that's also a good sign. And very importantly, working well with others. So sure, I think we like to code, we like to program and analyze data, and that can be that can have us in our chair for a few hours. But I think that it's important to know how to collaborate, how to help out, and how to you know uh, and then actually my next point relates to that. So you're willing to help. You're team oriented. You think about, okay, is this going to help our team to succeed? So I think that's something that I have to say you also learn more with the job. But these are some of the things that we look for when we hire. So as you can see, I didn't say here, oh, we need like super, you have to be a super expert in Python already to be able to join our team, or you have to be like already experienced in the exact thing that we work on, because we are aware that many times you just need a little bit more of time and experience, and then we are happy to provide that. But what we look for is mainly like, do you have potential? Sure, if you have some of that expertise, technical expertise, fantastic. Like we love that, and that's great. But we also see, okay, is that we look maybe for a bit more, and we try to look for potential in students that we hire. So those are some of the criteria and some of the things we look for. Um, I have more slides, but I don't want to also exceed the time, so I'll try to be brief. So just there's a lot of learning on the job. So that's one thing with any co-op opportunity, I would say. There's a lot of learning on the job, and that's part of the fun, I would say. So sure, if you let's say if we hire you for something that's more data analysis related, then yes, I think you'll get some of that experience. But when we look for computer science students, maybe what we look for is like, okay, someone who can help us, program Python or Bash. Sometimes in R, although R, I have to say, is a very niche language meant more for statistical computing, which sometimes some of our students who are more into the domain knowledge, so more in the biology side of things may help us. But sometimes we involve the computer science students. With R, it's just a little bit different than actually very different than other languages. But Python, Bash for sure. Then we really like our reproducible pipelines with workflow management systems, SnakeMake, which is a Python domain-specific language, so something that we really like, and then Nextflow, which is a bit unique because it's a sort of a domain-specific language of Groovy. So it's sort of its own thing. We also really like containers and working with them, sometimes building them. Not very often because there's a lot of already built containers we use, but that's something else. And then conda environments, so virtual environments, right? So if you work with that. So high performance computing, using job schedulers. But what I'm showing here is typically what you learn on the job. It's not like I wouldn't expect someone to have this already. I mean, if you do, great. But it's not something that I would expect people to come with to the job. It's something that you learn, that we teach you and we train you. And this is what, when you leave or when your internship ends, then you would leave having these skills, like on the technical side and of course on the interpersonal teamwork side. And I really wanted to spend some time here. And sorry, I may be a little bit over time, but I really wanted to talk about this today. So um, yeah, we have two wonderful employees who were co-op students, right? So I think what Stacy was saying earlier, like sometimes you can have the opportunity, and so we've been very fortunate that this has happened 2 times. So they were University of Lethbridge students, so they work now full time, and they do things like programming. One of them had a really good opportunity of, he was briefly. So we hired him in agriculture, and then he spent a few months in a different department getting trained in cloud computing. So he came back, and now he's our go-to cloud person. So opportunity for upskilling, right? It's always there. And our other student or graduate who we bridge, he's the go-to person for, or one of the go-to people, I would say, for high performance computing support. So yeah, I really wanted to talk about this today. And they were both students of the computer science second degree program, and the other things like they had different backgrounds. So one of them has spent a summer previously working in IT support, more like, okay, the people need help with something on Windows, etc. And that's how he got his start. And actually, the way I hired that particular student was through word of mouth, like because he was really, really good talking to people, and everyone liked him, and he's also very good technically. But what happened was one of the scientists who met him said, "Well, we're looking for a student." With me, like we were looking for a project, for student hire for a project, and then said, "Well, what about this student? He looks to be very good." And then I interviewed him, and then that, you know, um, well, I asked him to apply for the position through UVL, and then I interviewed him, and then yeah, he turned out to be really really good. And then the other student, he had a bit more of academic background, like it was second degree, so he had I think a master's, but he was new to what we were doing. I mean, he knew about science, but still, he was new, and he turned out to be really, really good technically. And that's the thing. I'm gonna go back a few slides here. Like, if you have this passion for learning, and you like, in the job would give you the opportunity to learn and expand. And if you like learning things fast, the opportunity is there for you to contribute. So that was the case of that student. So like I said, you don't have to come with experience. If you do, great, but if you don't, that's okay. I think if the potential is there, will give opportunity to grow and learn. So I think I'm probably already a bit over time, so I'll just get to the point here. So yeah, teamwork. It's important. Not only teamwork between our group, but also knowing how to collaborate with others. And a lot of times, there's someone who's with you. Like we don't necessarily leave you there to communicate with our collaborators on your own. But I think learning about this, developing this is important, not just for your work here, but your career. Interpersonal skills. So I think sometimes trying to understand exactly what people are trying to come to us for help or what exactly they need. It's something that's really important. And you wouldn't believe how many times how much time one can spend going back and forth just trying to understand exactly what the scope of things are. But that's important. So that's all for me today. And I just want to say again, thank you for the opportunity to present, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rodrigo. I have a question.
Yes.
Can we only apply through the U of L, or is it also can we also apply like outside the U of L, or do you have to go through the university?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So for applying for positions that we advertise, that's through the university. So we will post them in the university in the My Experience portal, and that's where we would look at who's applied. And so yeah, for co-op positions, it's through the university. Now, your comment also reminded me of something. So we try to start the hiring relatively early because one step that we're required to do is the security clearance. So some workplaces will need that. So in our case, we do. So it's just one step of the process. So that's but it's usually not too bad. So.
Okay, it looks like no one has any more questions. Thank you, Rodrigo, for your presentation. We definitely learned a lot from it, so I'm very glad for you to come to our event. Yeah, so let's move on to our job search presentation by our career coaches here at the university.
All right. So, hi, everybody. My name is Gloria Diesel, and I'm a career coach here at the University of Lethbridge. And I'm joined by my colleague Andres. And today we wanted to just give a big picture overview of the job search journey with computer science. I know Divya himself will have a lot that he wants to share as well. So, we're here kind of supplementing that. However, before I jump in, I just wanted to ask for some of our last minute joiners, or if you joined, let's say, anywhere after 5:10 p.m. today, if you could please go into your Zoom account and enter your full name there. We do have people here who are going to be adding this event to your My Experience experiential transcript, and that would be a big help for us to see. So without further ado, I'm going to begin. So I just would like to start off with a land acknowledgement. So Oki and welcome everybody. Our university's Blackfoot name is Iniskim, meaning sacred buffalo stone. The University of Lethbridge is located on traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory, which is comprised of the Kainai, Piikani, Amska Pipigani, and Siksika First Nations. All right, so let's cover a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. First, we're going to talk a little bit more about understanding the job market, especially locally here in Alberta. Secondly, we're going to be discussing powerful strategies and best practices for finding work. We're going to touch on acing the interview. We're going to review a few job boards and learning tools that will be useful for you in your job search journey. And we're going to talk a little bit about overcoming challenges. So just remember that a lot of this is going to be big picture. And if you have any specific questions, we'll be happy to answer them, or we'd be happy to meet you in a one-on-one meeting to discuss your personal situation. But with that, let's continue. So let's first talk a little bit about understanding the job market. So Alberta's computer science job landscape, what does that really look like? So there are a lot of growing industries, especially here in Alberta. Some of them include, of course, tech, healthcare, energy, finance. But the truth is that you can find computer science jobs everywhere. Everything needs it. Education, like we said, we could add finance, everything. So you don't necessarily have to limit yourself into one particular industry. You can know that your skills here are actually transferable to many, many different kinds of industries. Now, there are a number of in-demand job roles that exist here. Some of those include software development, as you can see, data analyst, cybersecurity specialists, and we're seeing a growing market in AI, ML, machine learning engineering. So there are quite a few different kind of roles you can look into. And if you want to learn more, I encourage you to go to Alice, which is an Alberta-based website that will talk a little bit more about what are the different computer science jobs that exist. They won't contain everything, but they will give you a really nice big picture view of what's available, what skills are needed for each of those jobs, and what educational pathway you'll need to take to get to them. So we'll throw that link up into the chat a little bit later on, but do keep that in mind as a reference for yourself. Now, another thing you might want to consider is the importance of emerging technology. So what's new and coming up? So we talked a little bit about AI and ML, and actually Rodrigo talked a little bit about it as well, this cloud computing, Internet of Things, and blockchain. So if you have a side interest in any of that, and you've actually been physically working on it and tackling it and working in that in a personal way, this actually can work to your benefit in your resume and in your job search. So you're going to want to really focus on that and making sure that you are working on those personal projects as well. So let's take a look at some of the top employers that exist here for computer science graduates. And of course, we're looking at more specific Alberta, but some of the major tech companies that we look at are Benevity, ATB Financial, IBM Canada, and Jobber. So you'll be able to take a look at all of those. I see that Rodrigo wrote in the chat, of course, Internet of Things for agriculture is something they support too. So you see, you might not have made that association with ag, but really we see that computer science can fit in so many industries. So note for yourself these major tech companies. Alberta also is a hub for startup and innovation. So you want to start taking a look at websites like Alberta Innovates or Platform Calgary. I believe Divya is going to go a little bit more into detail of some of those later, but they really are great places and great hubs for you to see what's happening in the startup world in Alberta and in Canada. Those people need comp sci graduates. They need people with the skills you'll be developing here, but also you'll need to potentially develop even more skills to get yourself started in this. So take a look at these kind of websites and see what's available for you there. Also, another big employer for comp sci graduates is the public sector. Government of Alberta is huge and has its fingers everywhere. So keep in mind that that's going to be an option for you, as well as academia. So any university research labs, and we have many universities in Alberta, and of course our universities across Canada that can use these same kind of skills. So you just need to start thinking of like what skills would you like to develop? Keep in mind that your degree here is going to be a foundation, but you're going to want to develop more skills. So what kind of skills are going to help you grow in the direction you want to work in? So you'll want to do a little bit of research about that. And of course, as career coaches, we're here to help you do that. So we just wanted to show you a couple of examples of co-op job postings that we've had in the past where people have applied for them. Comp sci graduates have applied for them. So this is actually a co-op that we used to have for EA, Electronic Arts, and they were looking for an associate software developer as a co-op position. And they were looking for it for their FIFA project. So FIFA Ultimate Team, might have heard is the most popular mode in FIFA. And what were they actually looking for this kind of associate software developer co-op job? Well, some of the technical qualifications they were looking for are working towards a Bachelor of Science in Comp Sci, or of course a related field. And then you'll see some of the additional technical qualifications they were looking for. So they wanted someone with a background in C++, experience in object-oriented design and implementation, demonstrated knowledge of good software engineering practices, including testing and version control and more, knowledge of memory management, multiple processor use and runtime optimization, knowledge of HTTP communication and RESTful services, knowledge of source code management, so that includes CVS, Subversion, Git, and or Perforce. Knowledge of using a debugger to solve complex problems, definitely, and experience with other programming languages. So that could include C#, Java, Flash, ActionScript 3, and different platforms. So that was a plus. You can see here it's not necessary, but it is a benefit. So those were some of the higher level technical skills that this organization was looking for. And you might be thinking, oh, I don't have all of these skills. Well, that's okay. We have a kind of rule of thumb that we use here where if you feel you match a position around 75%, then you can feel confident applying for that job. Because many times what employers are writing is a bit of a wish list. If we could, we'd have somebody with everything on this list. But sometimes there's really good candidates who might have 80% of what they're looking for, and they prefer to work with that candidate because of some of these additional qualifications. So what are some of these additional qualifications? Well, you can see here's where they're talking a bit more about the soft skills. So maybe you might have heard of this expression, hard skills and soft skills. So hard skills are a little bit more of the technical knowledge you have, the things that you do, just like all the technical qualifications I was just mentioning. But soft skills are more about what you are. Like, how do you do those things, those technical skills? So you'll see here, we see things like excellent verbal and written communication skills, or ability to work in a dynamic and collaborative team environment, excellent detail-oriented problem-solving skills. So I really want to highlight this because I was really happy to hear Rodrigo mention it as well, the value in a way of these soft skills. Sometimes people think comp sci work is only going to be work that you're by yourself, sitting down and not interacting with others. The truth is quite different. A lot of comp sci jobs are really relying on these kind of soft skills, like teamwork, like interpersonal skills, like problem solving and communication. So if you have those skills, please be sure to mention them on your resume. Now, more local company that often can hire ArtCurve or often hire co-op students is ArtCurve. So you're going to see this job posting as a co-op job posting for a student software developer. Now, I want you to pay attention here to how they've written this job posting. They write that they are driven to help produce superior graduates. No spectators here. ArtCurve interns are actively engaged in innovative, exciting, real-life business projects. And they're looking to develop their art interns to have broad technology expertise, solid business acumen, and professional polish in a fun and friendly environment. So you can already see from the way this company has written their job posting, what kind of company they are. They seem a little bit more informal, a little bit more casual. So when you're writing your cover letter, and here's a hot tip, when you're writing your cover letter, you want to try and mimic the tone of the job posting in your cover letter to match the kind of employer you're applying to. So keep that in mind when writing a cover letter. But if you look at these job requirements, you'll notice also they're a little bit more casual or a little bit less technical than the EA job posting. So here it says an interest in all things technical. And hey, if you have used technology to solve a problem, even better. So you can already sense the little bit of fun they have in their job posting there. The ability to learn. It says it's often a cliche, but in the world of technology, it's a reality. In tech, in comp sci, you want to always be learning. There's no sitting back on your haunches saying, okay, I finished my degree, I'm done. It's a constantly evolving industry that is constantly requiring more and more education, which is amazing if you're somebody who always likes to develop and always likes to learn. So please lean into that for yourself. So just to kind of cap off a little bit more of this posting, we see they're looking for creativity, the desire to work in a team, problem-solving skills, and note that they say here, some coding experience is an asset, especially if you could walk them through what you did, why you did it, and what you learned from your build. So many times employers want to know what you think and how you got there. How do you think? Because this helps them see how you're going to fit into their teams. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Andres.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Hey, so now we're gonna be talking about the powerful strategies and best practices that you want to be doing in doing your job search in ComSci. So first, I would highly recommend, we always highly recommend the students to join any professional organizations and associations, especially because some of them, they will charge you the student fee, and that, believe me, is way, way, way more affordable than once you graduate and it becomes too expensive. Quite a few of them, they are like the ACM, Association of Computing Machinery. Joining ACM can connect you with local and global professionals in the field. The IEE Computer Society, so you can engage in events and chapters in Alberta to meet like-minded individuals, and the Association of IT Professionals. So again, you can look for those events where you can network and meet people, experts in the field, so you can start already networking while you're a student, and you start making those connections that eventually will open more doors for you in your career, in your career search. Now, I forgot to mention as well that for the associations, you can always add that as well to your portfolio, to your resume, when you're applying for jobs as well. So then you can show to your employer that to that prospective employer that you are invested, you are very motivated, and you are quite involved with this specific professional community, and they love that. They love it when they see that you are going above and beyond your professional career path. And mentioning that you have already been in touch with, you have already a membership, you have attended those events in your resume and or your cover letter, it will help you leverage that enthusiasm and investment towards this specific field. Also attend conferences and meetups such as the Alberta Technology Symposium and Convergence Conference. Those are a few of those big events here in Alberta that will be tech related, and where you will be able to meet professionals in the field. That is going to help you a lot building that those connections and leveraging those amazing opportunities you can potentially have in the future. Another one that we just mentioned as well is the platform Calgary. That promotes the tech industry in Calgary specifically. It's a place to connect with entrepreneurs in the industry as they host different workshops, hackathons, startup weekends, networking events, and more. University events, not just here at the U of L, but also the U of A, University of Alberta, University of Calgary, NAIT, and many other post-secondary institutions. They always offer quite a few events, lectures, workshops, networking events where you can start meeting people, not just faculty members and experts in the field, but also like peers, people who are same as you, trying to build that career path, making their way out there, and you can potentially partner with them and start building those projects with them as well. Also, networking with alumni is also a great way to start building those connections and open and build those opportunities for you. Hackathons is big. We highly recommend it and those coding competitions. So engage with those hackathons. Engage in hackathons organized by universities, tech companies, and organizations such as a Hacker Nest, NatHacks, YYC Hacks, Calgary Hacks, and so many others. When I was looking into this, there were like so many others out there. So always give yourself that chance to be part of those hackathons and challenge yourself, meet people, step outside your comfort zone, and yeah, start building those connections. There's also some global competitions such as the open hackathons. There's like so many out there as well across the country in other parts of the world. So either if it's local or international, those experiences are gonna be great for you to start building those connections. Utilize online platforms such as LinkedIn. I know that Ivy is going to be talking more about it, but create a strong LinkedIn profile will help you a lot. Leveraging those connections and understand those groups, participate in discussions, be an active member of those discussions, and connect with professionals in your field and seek endorsement and recommendations from people. GitHub and GitLab is another great way to start contributing to open source projects and expanding your skill set and collaborating with other developers as well. Join local tech hubs and incubators, right? So for example, the Innovate Calgary Connect. It will help you connect with the tech and innovation ecosystem through Innovate Calgary's events and programs. As we mentioned before, there is also like the startups that will help you meet people who are starting their own businesses, right? They're entrepreneurs. So participate in tech-focused meetups and networking events, workshops, find a mentor, and community leaders. We always recommend finding a mentor is always the best way to start building a career path. Someone who has already gone through that path and they can help you out building that career path based on the tips and the strategy that they have used in the past. So it was good to find a mentor who has already gone through that. And then last but not least is Alberta-specific initiatives such as MyTax, Tech Talent Alberta, and Alberta Innovates. The links are over there, and yeah, I would highly recommend exploring those websites as well. Engage in online forums and communities such as Stack Overflow, where you can actively participate in discussions, ask questions, and share your knowledge in online communities. So it's another great way to start networking and building your professional network as well. Attend career fairs and networking events. There are so many across the province. We host one of them here at the U of L every semester in the winter and the fall semester. But also there is others out there as well, like in Calgary and Edmonton. Participating in these career fairs organized by universities, tech companies, and professional organizations will help you find that mentor that I was telling you about, if not people who are experts in the field who will be able to be your reference and help you out build this career path as well for you. Networking events such as attend these tailored events where you will be able to meet tech professionals, to meet potential employers and collaborators. These are some other spaces where you can meet experts in the field, and they can help you out. Again, giving you those strategies and those tips that you can utilize to leverage that career journey for you. Local resources and support networks such as the Chambers of Commerce and Tech Alberta. Engage with local chambers of commerce for networking events and business opportunities. Again, each chamber will have their own resources. They will have webinars, they will have networking events, conferences, career fairs that can help you out meet those experts in the field. And as you notice, they were telling you a lot about step outside of that comfort zone and meet employers, meet people, talk to them, engage in conversations, and just build those strong relationships with those experts in the field. Yeah, now we're gonna talk about this in the interview. Gloria, I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, great. So we're only doing a big picture here just to touch on some of the key components of a job search. But when you are preparing for an interview, you want to make sure that you're researching common technical interview questions. And that might also include practicing coding, depending on what kind of job you're applying for. You also not only want to be able to verbalize your skills and abilities, but you're going to want to be able to demonstrate them potentially as well. So you want to practice coding problems on platforms such as LeetCode or HackerRank or CodeSignal, because there are many actually preparatory steps that employers may ask you to go through before they even consider inviting you for an interview. So you want to make sure you're brushing up on your skills as much as possible and make sure you're putting time aside to do every step that an employer might ask you to do, whether it's behavioral questions, whether it is coding, whether it is answering actual interview questions. Sometimes they make you do a personality test beforehand. Can be many steps before even the potential of being invited for an interview. So don't lose hope. I know it's a lot of investment of energy at the very beginning before even hearing if you have an interview, but at least if you know this in advance, you know what you're up against, so you can prepare yourself going forward. Now, I did mention something called behavioral questions. And for those who don't know, a behavioral question is when an employer is asking you something like, tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker. What happened and how did you handle it? Anytime they really start a question with, tell me about a time, you can say in your head, this is a behavioral question. They're asking me about my behavior because they believe that the way I acted in the past, how I handled conflict, how I solved a problem, how I managed my stress at work, are all indications of how I'm going to do it in the future. And so if you are ever asked a question like that, you can consider using a framework that we call STAR. This is a method just on how to organize your thoughts and how to explain your story. So STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So first you would explain the situation that you were in. Let's say if we go with the example of having a conflict, what was the background context of that conflict? Then you would talk about a task. What did you recognize you had to do in order to move through this conflict so you can get back to functionally working well again with your colleague? Then you would talk about the actions. What are the actual, after you brainstormed it, what were the actual actions that you took to work towards a positive result? And last but not least, what was the result? What was the result of the actions you took? So in a way, you're talking a little bit about stories about yourself, about what you did in the past, but each of these stories are really valuable nuggets about you for an employer to take and understand better how you're going to function in a team. How are you going to handle conflicts when everybody is stressed within your team to achieve a project deadline? So each of these examples are really valuable, and I encourage you to practice them yourself. Of course, if you ever want any help, feel free to book an appointment with Andres, our colleague Emmanuel, he's located in Calgary, or myself, and we'll be able to help you practice those. So now we want to just talk a little bit about job boards and learning tools. And I know we're coming close to the end of our time, so we're probably going to speak a little bit more quickly now. But some of the job boards, you might be wondering, where do I look for work? So there's many different options on how to job search, but these are some examples just of job boards. So one, of course, you can go to is LinkedIn. When you're on LinkedIn, look up specific keywords under the jobs section there. Look up keywords like new grad program, entry level, junior, associate. Each of these are the kind of job postings that are going to match your particular level likely once you graduate. So take a look for those. And of course, LinkedIn is really amazing for networking and potentially getting referrals to other jobs that may come up. Another job board that you can take a look at is Levels, and you'll note the website here. So this is just a purely tech job board, and it gives insight into salaries, which is very useful when you're wanting to negotiate salaries, as well as company employee stats. So this is a website that you can probably keep in mind for yourself as you grow in your career journey, because it's good for internships, entry level, mid-level, and senior level roles. And it also lists non-tech roles related to tech companies. Another couple job boards for you to maybe note for yourself and bookmark are Simplify. So Simplify is a powerful AI job tracker tool, and it's really great because it can list personalized job recommendations and tools. It has tools to help you craft a more tailored resume and will help you autofill and track your job applications. So it's a useful tool for you in your job search. You could also take a look at GitHub. Like, for example, this 2025 software engineering college jobs, they have that kind of online repo there that will help you link software engineering internships and entry-level positions, break down information on whether they're remote, if they provide sponsorship, are they in the US, Canada, somewhere international. So this is a super useful repo for everyone to take a look at.
Also think about obtaining certifications. It will definitely make your portfolio more competitive, and the employers really appreciate when they see uh, that you're going above and beyond what they're asking for. So, for example, obtaining relevant certifications from recognized institutions to enhance your credibility, such as the AWS, the Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, or CompTIA. Utilizing those online courses as well to enhance your skills and to stay updated with the latest trends in technology, such as Coursera, Udemy, edX. Through the SU, the Student Union, you can have complete access for free to Udemy. So as long as you're a student, so we highly recommend using that, especially before you graduate. Stay updated with tech trends through blogs, podcasts, and conferences. That is also quite highly recommended to stay on top of everything and to always leverage that knowledge and add that to your portfolio as well. Tools for learning, such as Udemy, as we just talked about, from critical skills to technical topics. This is a great online platform where you're going to be able to obtain this professional development. And once you obtain those certifications, after you have completed those courses, you can add those to your LinkedIn profile, to your portfolio as well. There is an extensive course catalog covering many skills and topics relevant to computer science. So highly recommended. Please check that out. Check Udemy and use and open your account using your ULED email address so you can have access for free to this resource. LeetCode, that is a platform that will help you enhance your skills as well, expand your knowledge, and prepare for technical interviews. Highly recommended for computer science students, especially to prep for those interviews, and it will provide you with questions, especially asked by certain companies. So highly recommended. Check those out as well. The other one is Monster, which is a structured way to prepare for coding interviews as well. Would help you master key patterns to solve any interview question and get the systematic knowledge you need to prove your expertise. Remember that before those interview questions, you always want to practice how you're going to solve those coding questions. Because during the interview, that's what they're going to be asking you, how you're going to be solving this issue, what kind of questions you're going to be asking interviewing in order to get that information so you can start building that coding during the interview. NeetCode is another platform. It has an exam bank of questions that cover key fundamentals of DS and I created by ex-Google employee. So that one is another one that I would highly recommend. Visual Algo, an amazing tool to help students learning visualize key data, structures, and algorithms. So all these ones, highly recommended. Save it, bookmark it, and always keep practicing. If you have any free time, always keep practicing. You have a project-based learning that will provide you with free resources for project-based learning, and it covers many technologies like C++, Python, C++, everything else. Also, check out this YouTube video that Divya shared with us, where many educators online cover a variety of topics. Students will be surprised by how many useful and for free tools it has. So definitely something else to check out and put it on your to-do list for the summer. Okay, and then we have overcoming challenges. So remember that navigating obstacles in your job search, that is vital. It happens. We all go through it. So handling rejection is part of the job search process. So remember to you always have to learn and adapt, see what went wrong, and be very reflective on this process, and then think about what you can do next time in order to enhance, in order to improve, in order to um, what you can do better next time, right? So lack of experience, highlight transferable skills and personal projects. If you think, okay, I don't know if I have enough in order to apply for this job, we will highlight those transferable skills, right? Highlight those personal projects, something that it will make you a unique candidate for this specific job opportunity. Focus on your unique value, what you're bringing to the table, what you have done that is quite special that you think nobody else has done before. Always remember that whatever you have done, whichever it is, if it comes from your interest, or if it comes from your additional experience, or if it comes from your projects, all that information, you never know what will be valuable for the employer. So it pretty much comes down to how you phrase it in your application. So remember to use the same language, use the same tone that the job posting is saying, and also even once you have met that person, that employer, that recruiter on the other side, talk to them about those projects you have worked on. Okay, your next steps. Highly recommended, please update your resume and LinkedIn profile. If you need a hand with that, we can help you out with that. Identify 5 companies to research and connect with professionals. We can also help you out with that. And see weekly goals for applications, networking, and skill building. Remember that this is just a little bit of what you can do in order to continue building that career journey and make the best of this time here at the UVL before you graduate. This is a slide where you can find more information about us, our website, how to book an appointment with a career coach, and our email addresses. If you have any questions, please let us know. I will be more than happy to meet with you and help you out with your career search.
That's it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Amazing. Thank you for the presentation. Does anyone have any questions for Gloria and Andres? Perfect. Okay. I'm just going to give a brief presentation just to follow up on what Gloria and Andres said. I think it'd be very helpful for you guys to see how I directly applied these tools to get to, I guess, get my first internship offer and then my subsequent one. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen here. Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to elaborate more on the tools that Andres and Gloria brought up in their presentation. So one thing that I feel like is very important for us students to take advantage of right now is Udemy. Our tuition covers the pro version of this software, so we don't have to pay individually for each course. We get access to the entire course catalog. It's given to us by our student union. So if you're paying for your student union fees, you have access to this. And these are some of the courses that I use that helped me gain more foundational knowledge in React, data science, and whatnot. And as you can see here, these courses say 2025. These courses have been around for a while, but they get frequently updated. So I would highly recommend using this resource while you're still a student. And then just to further expand on that, you do, as like more courses get put into this course catalog, lots of trendy topics are on here. So if you are interested in learning a bit more about machine learning, there's lots of verified and good courses on here. As you can see here, there's like reviews and whatnot from students that have done this. So I highly recommend experimenting, trying out new things. This is a very cost-effective way to do this because you don't have to spend any extra money. It's all there. If you're interested in trying out something new, maybe you want to try out cybersecurity, maybe you want to explore data science, machine learning, whatnot. There are these courses that are covered by your tuition fees on here. And just to expand on something else that Andres brought up was certifications. These Udemy courses, there are some courses that provide you the foundational knowledge that can prepare you to take these certifications. Obviously, it's not a one-for-one thing where once you've done this course, you're ready to take the exam. You're gonna have to do practice questions and whatnot. But even if you're not interested in taking the certification, just understanding the terminology and how these technologies impact our industry is quite useful. So I brought up the Microsoft Azure Fundamentals on here. I think this is a good introductory course if you're interested in learning just basics on cloud services, cloud computing, and whatnot, and how people integrate that into their overall business. Uh, and besides that, YouTube, if you're interested in like, I guess, getting dirty and just going straight into making project, this is a good way to just learn the step-by-step process from, I guess, planning a project to actually developing it to completely deploying it. I do not recommend putting like YouTube projects on your resume, but this is a good way to just build that foundational skill, right? Just to understand the process of making an app and then learning more about what services can I use to deploy my website. We're not just limited to AWS and Azure. We can use Versal. There's a lot of different options out there. So I recommend trying out maybe making an app on your own and seeing like what you're comfortable with. Like these the courses that I recommended here, this is more related to the Next.js environment. If you're interested in learning that, highly recommend it. But there's YouTube is a huge library, completely free. We don't have, it's not covered in our tuition, but it's kind of expected as to why. I highly recommend utilizing YouTube. There's also playlists on uh, data structures and algorithms, Code Academy, Free Code Camp. There's so many great resources out there that we can use. So I highly recommend them. And then one more thing I would like to touch on is networking. So I highly recommend getting your LinkedIn set up. And over here, I have my LinkedIn profile, but why do I recommend LinkedIn? It is very useful for reaching out to company alumni. So this message I am showing you on the right side, that I was reaching out to a former ULF student. Now they're working at Microsoft, and I reached out to them for a referral. I was able to get a referral, but like that, the ability to just instantly find people that are either former like company alumni or university alumni is very useful. And learning how to cold message is, I think, very beneficial because like it depends on company to company, but depending on where you want to go, what you want to learn, and all this stuff. Sometimes it's not about what you know, but who you know. So I feel like this is very good to, I guess, understand and I guess implement. And one more thing for interview prep, um, when it comes to, I guess, preparing for technical OAs, typically before you get your initial interview, companies send out OAs, and this is basically a filtering process for them because they get a lot of applications, and usually they utilize a type of, I guess, leak code or different types of like technical software. So primarily like big banks, RBC, Capital One. Sometimes even tech companies, they like to outsource their OAs to separate companies like CodeSignal. CodeSignal is a software dedicated just to making interview questions and whatnot. But how do you know all that stuff, right? I highly recommend just Googling this stuff because you're not alone in this. People have asked these questions before. So I recommend checking LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Reddit, pretty much just explore the internet. So this example I've given here is students asking about Amazon and the interview process there. So there's a lot of resources out there, and sometimes you can find a way to basically find previous examples that were used in interviews. So this bottom image here is on LeetCode. So this is a student that was explaining what their interview process was, what questions they were asked, and they listed out like how their assessments were. And then on the right side is Glassdoor, basically explaining like what their overall interview process was. So it looks like for them, they had to go through a set of behavioral questions relating to Amazon's leadership principles. So in preparation for this interview, this could be something to note. Maybe I should look into what Amazon looks for when it comes to leadership. And then from there, it becomes a lot more manageable. And every once in a while, sometimes there could be direct behavioral questions just linked to each review. So for this person here, they said, tell me about a time when you went above and beyond. So maybe that's an indication of what you could look out for and potentially prepare. So STAR methods are widely utilized, and I feel uh, like practicing with someone, doing mock interviews, and just understanding that process would be very helpful. And that's pretty much it for my end. Just to add on to that. And yeah, thank you very much for the all the presentations. And now we're ready to start off with our uh, computer science question Q&A discussion. So I'm going to invite to ask all of my computer science panelists to turn on their camera. So we're ready to go for this panel event. Oh, that's a good question. So if you go onto the Student Union website and you click on services, they'll list out, I guess, resources that we have access to. Um, in there, once you basically, I guess, go fill out that form, you'll have access to Udemy and a bunch of other resources they have on there. Um, and yeah, it's all included with our tuition. At the beginning of each semester, there's usually a period where you can opt out of these services. Most probably, if you didn't opt out of it, you should be able to access all of these resources. Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to introduce all of our panel members. So today joining us will be Raven, Raj, and Rohan. Um, If possible, could you guys please introduce yourself and describe your work integrated learning experience?
Sure. Do you want us to go in any particular order or?
You could go first.
All right, cool. So hello everyone, my name is Raven. I am a third year computer science major. I have done one co-op term. I guess you can consider it two since we technically counted as 4 months each. But I was working with tech resources out in Sparwood as what they call desktop support. What that essentially means is that I was doing tech support for one of the mines in the area. And this was a particularly interesting term for me to work on as the company that owns the mines in the area was being acquired by Glencore. So during the summer last year, I actually really got to work on the migration process from one company to another. And I'm sure Raj can talk about that as well, as he worked with the same company as well. But it was a really cool experience getting to work on such a large scale project with all sorts of different parties and technical experts in the field. It definitely was really good to have that on my resume and on my LinkedIn profile. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about that and happy to talk about all the other experiences that I have.
Uh, Mic check. I hope everyone can hear me. Um, my name is Raj Patel. I'm a fourth year computer science and a new media minor at the University of Lethbridge. Like Raven, I have worked for 16 months for tech resources and EVR. After the transition, it became EVR. I was also the desktop support co-op slash the digital systems co-op. One interesting thing about working for such a big company is you get to network a lot. Like you get to contact from the lowest to the highest rank people in the company. So you get to learn various stuff from different people and have their point of view on how to work on a specific problem. Another thing was, yeah, I was able to use most of the things that we were taught in the university courses and implement it into the workplace, like problem solving skills and various other things that we can go into details if you have certain questions. One interesting, two interesting things that was unique for me is like the first thing, if you think about co-op, it does not give you more of leadership aspect to it. But luckily, due to the migration, like what Raven was talking about, I was able to lead the phone migration in the Spa Road area. So as we were divided into sections, I was assigned by my manager to handle the entire phone migration of the Spa Road area. So that's one of a unique thing that you might get to face in your internship if you, fingers crossed, if you get into one. And then secondly is improve my communication skills. I got chances to present in front various people, high groups of people, small groups of people, and I was also able to represent the company at the university career fair. So these are the couple of extra opportunities you do end up getting apart from the professional experience onto your resume. And I think I'll let it go towards Rohan.
Hi everyone, my name is Rohan Yadav, and I think these guys have covered most of it because we all worked in the same company. We saw each other there. Yeah, and I worked with operational excellence team and in tech. My main task in operational excellence were um, solving problems for each and different department. So they had an issue with, let's say, developing an app. So it came to our department, and I get to learn these new tools through that internship. And um, most of the stuff I learned there, I was never introduced in my school because um, I haven't taken those courses yet. But now I've taken those courses, and I'm doing really well because I already learned in my internship instead of going through all that. And yeah, I think that it was a really good experience, and I've made a lot of connections with all the supervisors and the managers, and got to meet with people within the mine, making and developing apps for them and dashboards and all the different kind of streamlining stuff. Yeah, I guess. And if
Great.
you have any, yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you for answering that question. We're a bit of on a time crunch now, so I'll try to like ask the most important questions here. For all three of you, I'm very curious, like, what steps did you take to like prepare for your co-op opportunity? Like, how did you find this opportunity, and what did you do to prepare for that interview? So we'll just go down the same order as before.
Sure, that's a really good question. I know with this first internship, as you've mentioned numerous times during this presentation, it's very important to get internships in your university career as a way to get your foot in the door for once when you graduate with your degree. And that was what this co-op was for me. It was my opportunity to get my foot in the door. How I'd done this was I browsed the co-op job board. I found one that fit my skill set and had some requirements that didn't necessarily apply for me. I felt confident enough to apply for it, and so I did. But as an extra level of insurance, because it's one thing to just throw your application out for a job posting and just hope and pray that someone reads it and hires you. But it's another thing to actually get your name out there to recruiters for the company. So what I had done is I had applied for that job with tech, and they just so happened to be attending the career fair that semester. So I had printed off a few copies of my resume. I had gone to the career fair and I had went to that booth. I had went to the recruiter standing there and I said, "Hello, uh, my name is Raven. I have applied for the May 2024 desktop support role. I have my resume here. If you think I might be a good candidate for other jobs as well, feel free to consider me." And I feel like that left a pretty good impression on the people there. I ended up getting an interview, which I thought I did pretty good. So much so that the very next day after that interview, I got a call back saying that I got the job. So that's kind of my story of getting my foot in the door with the company. And 8 months later, I'd left such a good impression on the company that I have now been rehired for another term with EVR starting in May of this year.
Nice, congrats, Raven. I will move forward with mine. Most of it Raven has covered, but what I would like to say, there is a lot of trial and error in this job market. So I kept applying every now and then, every opportunity I saw, I was applying it, making drastic changes to my cover letter and resume to fit into the job description that was required for it. And the best thing I could do, I was not good at cold calling or cold messaging at that time, so I missed out on that part. But seems like Raven was able to do it, and now I think most of the recruiters are on LinkedIn, so I would suggest you guys do that if you're applying for a position. But yeah, mostly mine was configuring my resume and cover letter to be for the specific job. And then it was just continuous applications. And then I was able to get my hands on to the first recorded interview. And over there, I just gave my best, answered the pre-recorded, pre-prepared questions and have my answers recorded. And luckily, I got a chance to talk with the recruiter, Miranda, and I think she did like me, and that's the reason I was there for 16 months in a row, and hope to be there back soon. But yeah, that's the main thing I would like to say is work on the resume and cover letters. Just don't give up applying because if one job might not be for you, another one might. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, it's similar in my story too. Like I kept on applying every semester to different positions and kept improving my resume and my cover letter. I also did cold messages on LinkedIn to recruiters, and luckily, like I've got so many interviews, and I learned from them a lot. Like what type of question do they ask, and what type of uh, answers do they expect? And I've also reached out to the recruiters after my interview to understand what's like to get some feedback on the interview, and that helped me to improvise. And next time, does operational excellence fit to my role because I'm also doing economics and operational excellence closely work with the finance department as well, and obviously they're also doing a lot of things in technical improvements. So that I think perfectly fitted in my with my major and my minor to get this job.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It's really interesting to see your experiences with that. I'll add on to what you guys all said. When I was first applying for my first internship, my approach was just mass applying, and then I did a bit of YouTube watching, and I realized I should probably reach out to people. So what I ended up doing was on LinkedIn, I reached out to like former interns at R-Curve, and I asked them questions about like the interview process, like just like cold messaging and hoping like, oh, okay, oh, I hope one person responds. And ultimately, it's kind of like a fishing game. You just wait and see if anyone responds. And for me, I got really lucky in the sense that like a former intern at R-Curve responded to my message, and they were like very open and helpful when it came to like answering my questions about like the interview process and how to stand out. And from there, that helped me better, I guess, get myself ready for the interview itself. I had like a bit of prep in that sense, and with that R Curve internship, I did find that on our co-op board, but it was interesting to see that they also posted on LinkedIn. So sometimes you might see like duplicate postings on the co-op board and on other job boards. From what I saw, from what Arcurve was doing, was they had like different uh, filterings when it came to their applications. So like from what I saw with University of Lethbridge was that they had a separate database for University of Lethbridge applicants, and then applications from LinkedIn separated over there, and the that helped me, I guess land an internship because I was in like two separate piles, and the odds of getting in was a bit better in that sense. So yeah. Um, Moving on to the next question. Uh, I'm very curious to know, like, how has your work integrated experience changed or shaped your career path? Like, was this what you were expecting before? Has your outlook on what you want to do as a full-time career changed? Yeah.
Well, I guess I can answer that first. I mean, I guess going into my co-op experiences, I really did not have any idea as to what exactly I wanted to do with my career outside of school, which is why the co-op program, I believe, is very valuable. Not only is it necessary to get those internships on your resume before you're done your degree, but it's also necessary for you personally so that you can get a feel for how the industry actually operates and what you can get with your degree. Um, but after my internship, I got quite a lot of experience. I worked with a lot of different departments on the mine site that I worked at. And I think I got a good opportunity to try out multiple different fields of technology, also a hand of project management experience as well, which I got a lot out of because I was doing an online course on the same time as well. So definitely, those experiences helped shape my trajectory going through the rest of my university career and looking forward to the future upon graduation. I definitely do see myself working a bit more in a project management field and perhaps even more so in the mining and resource extraction field with IT specifically. It's a pretty small niche to get into, but I do feel like it's a small world and your name travels fast in that sort of field. But even outside of that, I feel like I could really thrive well in telecommunications and networking.
Yep, I totally agree with what Raven said. I was actually focused on what I wanted to do before I got into the internship, so it was more like drilled into. So what I wanted to do in the computer science field. So what I started was with the desktop support that gave me a roadmap to follow if I want to get into cybersecurity. So it's recommended to have the basic troubleshooting done and to show valid experience of it. So desktop support was one of the and was one of the important things. So for most, the main important thing was how I changed my point of view after completing the internship. So just a heads up for everyone, whenever you complete your internship, there is a send off meeting that happens between you, your supervisor, and a co-op coordinator. Over there, my supervisor did give a feedback saying that Raj will face a sudden change of will change his point of view on how he thinks after he gets back into the university. And after the meeting, I went to him again and asked for clarification. He's like, it's something really hard to clarify, but once you get into the situation, you will get to know. And as of now, I am facing that because there's a sudden change because you gain a bit of experience in time management and various amount of things that you start looking it into a totally different point of view than what we were looking at into before the internship, if that makes sense. But yeah, some more of that and increase your communication skills because at that point when you're in an internship, you have to get rid of the fear of asking your professor, your supervisor or mentor several questions because what you're doing is at a high level. So once you come back into the university, you going to a professor, communicating with the professor becomes super easy because you're already used to asking several questions. So that was a major change for me. I was able to communicate to my professors even further after gaining that experience, so that they understand me and also I understand them, building a connection between us. That's going to be helpful for the future. I will turn it up to Rowan.
Yeah, I think in my experience, I had the similar uh, improvement. Like I was never used to of asking a lot of questions, and while working, I need to understand what do they actually want in the project, let's say in an app. So that forced me to go out and ask multiple questions to understand their needs, and that kind of changed me. Um, and now I have a different approach of tackling most of the problems. So I think the best way, the most important thing I learned was asking a lot of questions clears out what do I need to achieve in my mind. So that's one of the most important things I learned during my co-op, and that almost like that solved half of my problems, and I was able to troubleshoot most of the stuff, whether it's a dashboard, Power BI dashboard, making SQL queries, or making a Power App.
Amazing, great responses. I'll just answer for myself also. For me, when I was going into R curve, I didn't really have like a solid understanding of what I wanted to pursue specifically in software development. At the time when I applied, I typically did like I just made simple like front end websites and whatnot. So when I got into R curve, I was using a completely different tech stack. So I transitioned from the normal like HTML, JavaScript, CSS, all that stuff to more of in line with the .NET environment. So I had to like refresh myself with C Sharp and learn how to code in .NET and Blazor. And that completely shifted my outlook on what I should pursue when it came to software development. With my current internship now at CNRL, I specifically was looking for .NET related, I guess, jobs. And with CNRL, they're completely immersed in the Microsoft ecosystem. So working within Azure and Blazor, C Sharp, all that stuff. That realization like of what I felt comfortable in and what I guess is out there in the industry that I learned from R-Curve helped me, I guess, shift my career path. Because like when I was first going into R-Curve, like they're very tech agnostic in the sense that like typically there's usually projects for pretty much whatever tech stack you're working in or something quite similar to it. So going into R curve, I had an understanding that I'd probably be doing app development, and now I'm working with PWAs and um, uh, some like I guess adjacent web apps also, which is quite different than my mobile apps that I was originally interested in, which I feel like it's quite interesting to I guess note because like without going through my experience through the co-op program, I wouldn't have I guess understood or even realized what I'm actually like passionate about or is good at, you know? So yeah, I think now is a good time to open questions to students participating right now. So if there's any questions you want to ask, please unmute your mic, ask us. The floor is for you guys now. So um, we can all probably take turns answering this question because it might be a different story for each of us given our experiences. But for me, uh, uh, 3720 and 2720 all the classes that I had with Anvik that surprisingly I utilized a lot of those skills I learned there in my day-to-day for R-Curve and CNRL. I it was it was quite surprising to see how much get and I guess agile methodology I was using within my project environment, like that entire Scrum process, doing it. We didn't use a Kanban board, but we had like something similar to like creating stories and whatnot, and then from there turning that into tickets. So that entire process, I was like, I was quite familiar with uh, because of those courses.
Guess I'll go next. My answer is a bit unconventional as compared to yours, Divya. The one that I got the most benefit from was Management 3090, project management. I should also mention I am a bachelor's of management student majoring in computer science. So for me, that's the required course for my degree. But having done that course while also working on another pretty huge project during my term, the AMC move for Elkview operations, what this project was is that we were building a brand new facility on our specific mine site to host all of the admin facilities, maintenance, everything else, to dismantle the old facilities that were quite old and aging rapidly. So what our task was in relation to my co-op experience was we were moving pretty much every bit of hardware infrastructure from the one old site to the other. And obviously, project management plays a pretty huge role in there. There's a lot of coordinating with external stakeholders. There's a lot of planning things out and following timelines, budgeting, and everything like that. I only got a little glimpse as to what that looks like on such a large scale project like that. But definitely being able to relate it while also taking that course at the same time, I definitely got a lot out of it.
I think for me it was similar because the thing is, I did my project management course in the last semester of my co-op term, and I could relate 80% of the stuff on the course because I've already learned a lot about project management during my co-op, and my team was also a part of continuous improvement, which focuses on project management a lot. So the terms I learned in during my co-op, like uh, all the different terms by keeping track of KPIs as well. I did all that after in project management. So I did the course later, but I was able to relate to all of that once I took the course. For specifically for me, not most of the course was related because I learned all of the new tools, but in most of the computer science courses, you get to learn how to solve a problem or troubleshoot a problem. So that's kind of a good skill which is like given to you while you do like when you do these computer science or logical based like courses. So that helps you to solve problems in which can be used in any like environment.
Yeah, I would just like to add a quick note on it. You guys have, these guys have already basically covered, what do you say, that most of the courses, but I would like to just say like the computer science course basically puts a solid groundwork for your own job so that you basically have to use all the theoretical work and apply it into the practical stuff. So I would say not most, I'd say all of the courses are useful, but then it's up to you deciding what you want to do and move forward towards what specific topic you want to learn more in depth about. Like 2720, that was intro to software engineering, and then 3720, you get more into in depth of software engineering. That's a really good course to learn about coding practices and debugging skills, stuff like that. So I would say all the courses will put a good solid ground for you, a theoretical ground for you, and then you can use that to apply it onto the practical end of your work.
Amazing. I want to add on to project management because I completely missed that, but I absolutely agree with everyone here. Even though my work was a bit different as compared to them, I was quite surprised to see how much project management I was actually involved in as a software developer. I specifically focused on working on just developing features and whatnot. But when it came to measuring our sprints and the successes of whether we're on track or not on track, we did end up using a lot of project management fundamentals that we learned in Anvix classes, but also in that management class. Project management, I feel like, is quite universal in the sense that you're going to have to manage projects no matter where you are. So it's quite interesting to like, I guess, for me when I was going through that process at Arcurve and at CNO right now, like how project management is applied to, I guess, track projects and ultimately deliver solutions. It's quite important. And then there is a new question here. So, did you follow a roadmap when choosing your career paths? Is your co-op experience what you wanted to do? So, uh, for me, I didn't follow a specific roadmap. I just had an interest in software development and just developing applications for users. So when it came to the co-op experience that I'm going through now, I'm pretty satisfied with where I'm at. I'm very lucky in the sense that like I applied to specific jobs with a goal in mind, and I was able to experience, I guess, and learn how to develop apps. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me, with my co-op experience, I guess going back to my answer to a previous question, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my degree thus far in my academic career. But I did have a bit of an interest in working a bit of an unconventional computer science job that is a tech support role in a literal coal mine in Sparwood, British Columbia. And I heard a lot of great reviews about Tech, the company, from other students who have done other various co-ops there. So I had taken a chance with them, and I really enjoyed working with that company. Met a lot of really cool people and got a lot of really cool experiences out of it as well. So it's definitely something that I am looking at perhaps pursuing in the future. But even if that opportunity that I got is only like a one-time thing, then so be it as well. Those experiences are definitely applicable elsewhere in other fields as well. As for your second question, is the hold on, is your co-op experience what you wanted to do? Um, at first, I wasn't really too sure, but I think after experiencing it, I definitely really did enjoy that type of work. Would that be something that I'd want to do outside of post-secondary? I'm not sure. I'm always looking for a new challenge. I'm definitely looking for other opportunities, and this new one that I got with EBR is definitely a bit of a more specialized role from what I am doing. But yeah, if I was given the opportunity to do that role again, I definitely would take it.
Yeah, I would just like to add, the roadmaps are more personalized, not like commonly used. So I think the roadmap thing came in after I started talking about it as the support. I used it as a roadmap. Um, it's more personalized on what you want your career goal to be. So for me, cybersecurity, I wanted to start with the fundamentals, get into the basics, move up into the company forward, moving towards network, firewall, etc., move finally into security. So it's more personalized and it's not a must for someone to have it. People like Raven use it to find what they think is suited for them. So I will say at the end, it's more for it's not a must to have a roadmap, but it's usually used as a progress tracker. I will say that. But it's not a must to have a roadmap.
Yeah, I did not follow any roadmaps specifically to get something to get something to do what I was doing in my co-op. Most of the stuff I learned was very new to me, and just solving problems. I also learned how to like understand people's needs when I'm developing anything, whether it's a website, app, or anything. Um, I'm not I wouldn't mind doing the same thing, but I'm also open to more challenges and learning more tools and moving to a higher level. Uh, but yeah, I wouldn't mind doing what I was doing in my co-op term. It was exciting, and I learned a lot of new stuff over there.
Amazing. Great responses. The next question, what do you recommend the best path is for first year students as co-ops seem to be more third year oriented? Um, Lynette did answer this, but I feel like there's something that we can expand on as students ourselves. Um, uh, Ultimately, it depends on what you're going into. Surprisingly, there are first year like internships dedicated for students that like are finishing up their first year going into their second year. Uh, like if you they're kind of hard to get into, but like I've heard of Google Step, Uber Star, like IBM Accelerate. There's a lot of like I guess internships dedicated for first year where they're more exploratory in the sense of these companies just they allow you to explore different aspects of company operations when it comes to different aspects of computer science. And something else that I would recommend first years is there's also fellowships uh, and also sometimes companies host like 1 to 5 day like mini programs where you get to just explore what the company is about. So these are more like I wouldn't consider them conventions, but it's more like an insight into how the company operates. So like for example, Plantier Launch, Discover Citadel. These are like very short, condensed, like uh, I wouldn't like they're kind of like conventions. You just a lot of exploring in that sense, and they're specifically targeted for freshman, sophomore year students. Um, and when it comes to if like co-ops are being oriented for third year students, typically that's usually how it is. Um, uh, like we saw earlier on, co-ops are specifically like employers liked long uh, co-ops, so like they prefer 8 to 12 months, right? So just to allow students to actually properly learn. And in my experience, I'm currently I've done one 8 month internship, and now I'm on another one that's longer than 4 months. That time is very important. Uh, Usually, it's a lot it's very tricky to do 4 month internships and get the most out of it because you have to be very go about it. I'm not saying that like, oh, I don't recommend applying if you're a first and second year and wait till third. There's definitely opportunities there, but like as Lynette recommended, like you can apply to co-op in your first year, get like that industry level support that they can provide with your cover letter, resume, and whatnot.
Yeah, I can definitely reiterate everything that Divya said. I would say the earlier that you apply for the co-op experience, I think the more you can get out of it. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to here. Definitely would recommend applying as earlier as you can.
Um, in that sense, we can move on to the next question, which is what are some common interview questions? This is very like dependent on what type of role you're going into, what your interests are, what the company does. Um, it's it's a very open-ended question. My opinion would be to search up what questions are asked by these companies. Like I mentioned before, Google is a very powerful search tool. yeah, you'd be surprised how much information you can get through Reddit, Glassdoor, LeetCode itself. But like LeetCode is very like hyper specific to like software development. There's lots of different roles in computer science, so it's not like I recommend LeetCode for everything. But that's pretty much it for that question. Do you guys have anything else to add on to that?
Yeah,
For
I would just say when you just look at the job requirements and try to kind of take information from what they are asking and what like depending on what they have mentioned in the job requirements, the question could be related to those, and most of the behavioral questions are quite common, which you can find on Google.
And one thing to add on, I would recommend career services at our university. If you're struggling with preparing, they have great resources that we can utilize to prepare for these interviews. So um, lots of opportunities there to prepare for these interviews. And let's just move on to the next question now, which is what were the challenges we all faced during our job slash co-op? So for me, when I first started my internship, uh, my biggest challenge was learning how to learn. I know it sounds weird, especially at what um, I was in my third, fourth year when I got into R curve, but it was quite of a jump when it came to doing coursework to actual practical work. Raj might have mentioned this before, but we do a lot of theoretical work here at our university. So when you go into these work terms, you have an opportunity to apply all that theory into practical, I guess, use cases. And for me, when I was first starting out my internship with Arcurve, I had trouble translating that theoretical knowledge and I guess understanding what should I do to get point A to point B. So I guess I had to teach myself how to learn. So like looking up documentations, specifically, I guess like I utilized a lot of Udemy at RCurve. It depends on from employer to employer, but sometimes these employers will give you access to Udemy also. So at RCurve, it was encouraged a lot to learn. So I had to like, I guess, figure out what do I don't know and how do I figure out what to know and what not. So yeah, that what do you guys all think?
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that point of having to learn while on the roll. I know I had mentioned earlier during my co-op term, we were dealing with the migration efforts following the Glencore acquisition of Techco Limited. And so this was I think literally 2 months into my co-op turn, I was still really learning how to do a lot of the usual day-to-day work. When all of a sudden, everyone gets this mass email in the company saying the deal has been approved by the federal government, yada yada yada, and then all of a sudden we're thrown into this reality that consumes the next few months of our lives, that is migration. And so from that point on, it's all go, go, go. I know I worked quite a lot during the month of July when all this was happening, working a lot of 12-hour days, and I think even some weekends as well here and there. It's a lot to adapt to all at once. And I think learning how to adapt to the role and learning how to adapt to changing circumstances, like I just described, is an important skill to learn and definitely one that I got away from that experience as well.
Yep. I will just like to add, like, I do agree with what Divya and Raven said. But one thing is just, I will say whenever you start an internship, start with a completely open mind. Assume that you have no clue what you're going to do, because let's say you do know the answer, there are always curveballs, whatever, in whatever you do, because all companies do it a different way. I've learned that. Not the hard way, really, not really the hard way, but yeah, I will say go up with an open mind. If you think you're going to go in the right direction, reconfirm it with your supervisor that I want to do the X, Y, and Z and see if it matches with what the company wants you to do. And I will say go with that. And if you just be open to criticism or feedback from the supervisor, because that's the best way you will learn in the professional environment.
Me, yeah, I can say that like in my position, it was all new tools for me to learn. Like I had never used them before, and it was all new. But luckily, my supervisor was very understanding, and he gave me some time to uh, learn those tools during my work time and then apply those. So it was a really good opportunity to work on those tools. And then luckily we had a hackathon, and I was able to get second position within the company, and that kind of uh, gave my team little positive feedback, which in the end they provided me with a lot of projects related to those tools, and then I that but it was really interesting and good to manage all of those at the same time. But yeah, it's whenever I get those challenges, it just improves me for the next problems, and yeah.
Amazing. Thank you all for answering those questions. This concludes our panel event. I hope you all learned something valuable. Thank you for all the presentations and all the presenters we had today. This panel event couldn't have been done without Career Bridge and Act Canada. And yeah, thank you very much for coming.
I also wanted to say a big thank you to Divya, who put a lot of this together. I think without his also commitment to sharing this information and making sure that ComSci students had as much information as possible, this event may not have happened. So really thank you, Divya, for all your work. Also, thank you to everyone who participated in making this event. And